games are going to be in the next decade. It's going to cover all demographics. And I think that is about the time where games will replace cinema as the greatest form of art of all time.
I love that you started off by talking about what sets that game company apart from other game companies, which is the emotional heft of the games that you create.
We want to make more people to be aware that the games can move you, can touch you, and do positive things to your life.
What is the most negative change since you started out in games?
The normalization of pseudo-gambling. It's kind of like out of control and you can't really enforce it. It will detract gaming from a serious medium for all ages into money-making machines.
What are you playing right now for fun?
These days, I honestly stopped playing video games.
Really? So what are you reading and watching?
The Epic of the Gilgamesh. And it's related to our future game, so
Ooh.
I'm doing studies.
All right, you heard it here first, folks. Start looking into the ancient epics if you want a little preview into what's coming next for that game company. Hey everyone, I'm Alexander Lee, the lead news writer here at GamesBeat, and I'm at GamesBeat Summit with Jenova Chen for a new episode of GamesBeat's The Big Show. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you for having me here.
So, Jenova, your reputation precedes yourself. You're a legendary game maker, the founder of Thatgamecompany, and the creator of games like Flow. But if you don't mind, you want to just quickly introduce... I can't feel like I just introduced you, but you want to just quickly introduce yourself to the audience?
Yeah, so we just celebrated 20 years anniversary this past Friday. Yeah, we started the company while I was still in school, and we wanted to build a company that focuses on evangelizing video game as a medium for art and for liberal arts. There's plenty of fun games out there and competitive games, but there isn't many games focused on emotions, a positive impact on people's life. So that's where we set our studio to be the Deviant back in 20 years ago. So we made 3 PlayStation games, Flow, Flower, and Journey. And then afterwards, that's 2012 is when Journey came out. And then smartphone changed the world. And we felt like there was great momentum of artistic games that's even appearing in AAA games back in 2012, 2013. But mainstream games has changed from console games to just mobile games these days. And the public impression of games as a medium has set back, unfortunately, to arcade games, casual games, casino games, and
a lot of match 3s.
Yeah, so we started to actually step into like making cross platforms where mobile is heavily covered, because we want to make more people to be aware that the games can move you, can touch you, and do positive things to your life. That has been ever since 2012. We started working on this mobile game called Sky, and it launched in 2019. And just this year, it's going to be the 7th year anniversary since the game launched.
Wow.
Yeah.
Congratulations. So I love that you started off by talking about what sets that game company apart from other game companies, which is the emotional heft of the games that you create.
Yes.
And I want to start out by maybe unpacking a little bit about what about your background gave you the emotional vocabulary to make these games?
Yeah, I went to the film school at USC, which one of the top 2 film school in the country. My original career ambition is to become an animation director at Pixar. That's why I go to the film school, study animation and filmmaking. But it was kind of, making games was my hobby. But I think the film school was very, they are very open to explore the new frontier of storytelling. So as we were in the film school, they were introducing the idea of treating the interactive media as a new frontier of telling stories. And so when I look at the history of film, which is motion picture, and the development history of motion picture very much matches the first 40 years of video games. When a new media is first emerged, there's a lot of kind of tech demos. The early cinema was the earliest cinema is Lumiere Brothers showing a train coming into the station, and that was so scary because it looks like the train's closer and closer. Half of the theater people run out. That's kind of the shock factor. If you think about when people were pushing for VR, it's like putting you on a roller coaster and show the person like getting scared, right? So that's kind of like it takes 40 years for cinema to go from a gimmick to actually a citizen king,
Right.
which is when people figure out a new way to tell stories using cameras and film editing. Prior to Citizen Kane, all the content on cinema was trying to repeat theater, opera, or literally just record a ballet, right? And the video game is the same. If you remember in the early 2000s, it's all about like, let's be Hollywood. Let's take a film and put it in the game, right? And I think we're roughly about entering the 40th year since the video game was invented. There's a indie movement in the cinema. When camera becomes cheap enough, and many young people go to study cinema, and they graduate. They become the first wave of directors who really kind of grew up with film and think critically about film as an artistic medium. And I think my generation grew up with games, and I went to USC, which is one of the few university that has a video game program. I think I'm the second year.
Wow. And by the way, it's the biggest video game program in the country now.
Now it is.
Yeah, probably thanks to you in part.
And many graduates, right? So I think the history repeats. And if you ask me, well, why do we push for emotions? If you look at the history of cinema, before Hitchcock made thrillers, it was not a genre.
Right.
It was considered indie, right? Just like before Notch made Minecraft. Oh, that's an indie game.
Mm-hmm.
But it opens up a whole genre that is now totally commercial sandbox, right? So every major commercial genre that opens up is started from indie. And if you compare cinema and video games both as an entertainment medium, cinema covers a wide range of emotions. So your grandma probably are into musicals, into romance, right? But are your grandma able to find a musical and romance video game? Probably not. So that's why she doesn't see video game as a medium for her. Right?
Wow.
So when I was in the cinema school, it was very clear, like there was like a male demographics genres and then female demographic genres. Video game is all male genres, right? From young kids love to be scared, horror genre, to adult like action adventures, to sci-fi and the thrillers. It has everything that Hollywood already offered. But on the female side, rom-com, romance, musical, and drama, it was very lacking back in the 2000s. And we were just like, we can't make this medium respected by the society if half of the society don't see this as a medium for their entertainment. And so we decided to push towards the emotions that is more attractive to older and more female audience.
It's interesting because, you've talked about how there's these parallels between the evolution of film and other forms of media and gaming. And I think a crucial part of the evolution of other media is when it becomes more accessible to individual creators and smaller creators. And we're starting to see that on platforms like Roblox and Fortnite now. First of all, I'm just imagining, how crazy it would have been if you had access to those tools as a kid who was just making games on the side.
Right.
It may have empowered you to start your career even earlier.
When we first started the game studio, there is no platforms for indie to publish. And if it wasn't for the Xbox Live Arcade, which they called iTunes for games, right? There was no way for an individual like us in the school to publish a game. Just to put a box on a GameStop, to put on that shelf for a month, that requires so much money that they simply don't publish any game that's under $40. It would be a money loss if they put that game on the shelf. Now today, anybody can use an AI, make an app, and put it on the App Store. That's that easy. And pretty much every student I interview, they have a class homework that publishes on the Steam. And that's exactly what Super 8 did for the cinema. Anybody can make a film now, and anywhere you go, there was a local village theater. You can sell it for tickets. Yeah, so I would say this is the renaissance for video games because anybody anywhere can make a game and can invent and push the boundary of what games are capable of.
Were there any elements of the production process behind Flow and your other earlier projects that you had to compromise on that you feel, if you were to be making those games now, you maybe wouldn't have had to?
I mean, console in general, there's no keyboard, so you can't really chat, right? So there's no social potentials. And back then, voice chat, you're talking to a bunch of teenagers who are about to kill you and beat you in a team match. There's a lot of slur. There's a lot of aggression. I mean, you will get the same thing on a basketball field. So it's very hard to try to make people communicate with each other at a more relaxed, self-reflective way. So when we made Journey, it was a big challenge. It's like, how can we make people treat each other in a kind of compassionate and connection-based way rather than feeling competitive.
Yeah.
So that's the limitation of the platform because it attracts certain type of players, and there's a built-in expectation of what game's supposed to be. But as you work on different platform, there's a different distribution of demographics. So when we were working on the phone, hardcore console player was like, this is not a real gaming device. They wouldn't even be here. So on the phone, I think right now our mobile game is 70% women.
Wow. And
many people are treating our game as their very first video game in life because they don't even consider themselves as a gamer, but they find the experience here relevant to them.
What is the most negative change since you started out in games? Like, is there anything about the state of the industry now? Because we talked about these are positive changes. It's accessibility of game making. So yeah, I feel like being negative. What do you wish hadn't happened over the last few years that you would like to see maybe evolve back?
The normalization of pseudo gambling.
Okay.
We were very proud to say that our game industry makes more revenue than music and movie combined. But if you remove the pseudo gambling out of those revenues, I think we are just slightly above cinema.
And when you say pseudo gambling, you're talking about things like loot boxes.
Loot boxes for sure. It's called gacha. It's it's originated in a culture in Japan, and then free to play started from East Asia, Japan, Korea, and then China. They all adopted the gacha business model, where so it's kind of like becoming. You can say it's certainly not casinos, right? You're not gonna buy something and then get money out of it, right? But virtual societies has social status, and it requires value to exchange for such a social status. And many people trade their accounts. So if technically you can't get money out in this game app, but you can cross the street, there's a reseller for a secondary account. That's why I say it's pseudo gambling, right?
Yeah, makes sense.
Yeah.
It's worth pointing out we've also seen the rise of actual gambling at
the same
time, which probably is empowering these
literally
behaviors.
The sports betting now is everywhere. And I was just like, in America, like casinos are heavily regulated, but virtual casino seems to be not regulated at all.
Nope, especially the crypto ones.
Yeah,
that's a whole other conversation. We can get into that if you want, but that's a major. We can do a whole episode about that.
Yeah,
topic.
And I just think it's kind of like out of control, and you can't really enforce it, and it's a bad habit. I think it will detract gaming from a serious medium for all ages into a very good money-making machines. But that's not my interest.
I respect that. I'm going to bring it to another question just about a key sort of buzzword and source of discourse in the industry, which is AI. If you are, how are you looking to use AI technology in
Have
your
you
work?
heard of any video game that is super successful that actually used AI?
It depends. I mean, I have
I'm
heard
talking about AI, generative
generative
AI.
AI. Oh,
Right, yeah.
no. My answer is no.
I have not
I
heard
think
any
also for
of
like
them.
using AI to
Yeah.
code like water animation, I can see the use of
Yeah.
that.
I mean, that's just traditional procedural generation,
Right,
right? Like we
right,
generate the whole world procedurally, and we don't call it AI because it's so unsophisticated. The
right.
AI is the new trend words these days. We do machine learning. Um, yeah, we do procedural generation. We do behavior tree in AI for NPCs, but we don't call it AIGC. So
Yeah, makes sense. Where do games like the emotional games that game company makes fit in this modern environment where you are talking about kind of games regressing a little bit? I mean,
mhm.
we've said a lot of positive things about the creator activity happening on Roblox and Fortnite, but if you look at those platforms, the reality is it's sort of a chase. It's a race to the bottom. A lot of those
Mhm.
game makers see what's successful and they just copy that core game loop and kind of ride it down into the ground. Um,
There
with this
was
in
a
mind,
point. There was a point in the television or even in cinema. The most commonly seen ads are tobacco ads.
okay,
Right. I grew up watching television, and it's all cigarettes
hmm,
ads because they're addictive and they're super lucrative. And until the government does something to actually ban the advertisement of cigarettes, nobody else can afford those expensive ads. And right now, the problem with the ads is that only those games that super lucrative can afford to
hmm,
put a billboard on there. And during the console era, it was Call of Duties, right? It's the AAA games that is on the sideway of Hollywood,
hmm,
right? But then nowadays, who actually owns all the ads? It's the gambling games,
right?
you know. And I just hope that there's so much tax opportunity for the cigarettes, and there's so much tax opportunity for games with gambling mechanics. I just hope the government can don't miss the opportunity.
Yeah, I agree.
You know,
So, what are you most excited for in the future of that game company? You guys just celebrated your 20th anniversary.
hmm
It's been just about 7 years since you released your last game. I imagine, there's some stuff bubbling under the surface, but I would love to just hear, whatever you're comfortable sharing about what we can expect to see from you guys in the near
Mm.
future.
Nowadays, the game industry is still expanding in terms of its emotional spectrum.
Mm,
There's a rise of friend slops games, but that's unfortunately not the correct genre.
mm,
If you really think about the popular friends games you play, they mostly fit into the action comedy.
right.
It's kind of like Bugs Bunny, Tom's and Jerry, but with your friends, right? It's fun action comedies. These type of genre doesn't exist in the past. There are humor in games, but mostly it's through words, but
Right.
not through actions. I think one of the early action comedy games I see is like Goat Simulator,
Yeah.
Human Fall Flat, Entitled Goose Game. But now you have action comedy multiplayer, right? Like social action comedy.
Mm,
That is an expansion of the genre. In the early 2000s, there's no romance in game industry. There's dating simulator, but that's for men. The
right.
romance is for women. And nowadays, I don't know if you heard of a company called Paper Games.
Yes.
They are specifically romance games designed for women and designed by women. You know, and the genre is expanding, and I think games are going to be in the next decade. It's going to cover pretty much all demographics. And I think that is about the time where games will replace cinema as the greatest form of art of all time.
I love that vision. All right,
hmm
we have a few more minutes, and so one topic I wanted to make sure to ask you, and we don't need to go down this path if you don't
hmm
want to, but are you aware that there is a popular book that appears to be based on your life and career? a fictional book. Have you heard of the book Tomorrow and Tomorrow and Tomorrow?
I heard that the writer wrote the book based on some of the famous indie games. I heard maybe Journey was like an inspiration, but I didn't read the book.
So the book, without spoiling too much, is about a pair of friends, a man and a woman, who meet as undergraduates, make a game project together. It becomes very popular. They start a game company off of the back of that. And what makes their games different from other games is that there's an emotional narrative at the core.
Yeah, that sounds like the founding story of TGC. But Kellee and I are just classmates. We're not a boyfriend girlfriend. Okay,
and neither are the main characters in the book.
Right.
Sorry, just to be clear.
Yeah.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw it at you and ask if you were aware that there was a book that seemed to be so closely
people
based on
told
your
us
life.
about it. Yeah, I heard they're trying to make a movie about it too.
Yeah.
I hope they get our games correctly.
Just hope they cast someone extra handsome for the role as
yeah.
well. In order to do you justice, of course. I digress. Sorry, I'm sorry to put you on the spot about that, but I read that book, and when I read it at the time, it made me think about that game company, and so I was curious if it was on your radar.
Probably not after my personality. It would be not. It's not good on the cinema. So
no, I don't think so.
Yeah, I'm a very analytical person. So
let's end on a lightning round of some fun questions. What are you playing right now for fun?
These days, I honestly stopped playing video games.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
I find learning is more fun. So most of the time I would be either reading a book or watching a documentary.
So what are you reading and watching?
Well, the Epic of the Gilgamesh. The newly translated version.
Going way back.
Yeah, and it's related to our future game. So I'm doing studies.
All right. You heard it here first, folks. Start looking into the ancient epics if you want a little preview into what's coming next for that game company.
Yeah, we're not ready to announce it yet, but I spent a lot of time studying history and anthropologies. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time to join me, Jenova. It was a real pleasure. And looking forward to seeing the recording of your talk that I wasn't able to make it to earlier at this event as well.
All right. Thanks. It was fun talking to you, and thank you very much.
Thank you.